Part 1.
You will hear a woman being interviewed by a market researcher in a health club about her membership of the club. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Oh, excuse me. I wonder if you'd have the time to take part in some market research.
What's it about?
About this club and your experiences and opinions about being a member. It'll take less than 5 minutes.
Oh, OK then, as long as it's quick.
Can I start by taking your name?
It's Selina Thompson.
Is that Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. And what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an accountant, but I'm between jobs at the moment.
I understand. But that's the job I'll put down on the form. And would you mind my asking which age group you fall into? Below 30, 31 to 50, and above?
Over 50, I think we can safely say.
Great, thanks. And which type of membership do you have?
Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean how long?
No, is it a single-person membership?
Oh, right, no, it's a family membership.
Thanks. And how long have you been a member?
Ooh, let me see. I was certainly here 5 years ago, and it was probably 2 to 3 years more than that.
Shall I put down 8?
Oh, I remember now. It's 9, definitely. Sorry.
No problem. I've got that. And the last question in this first part is, what brought you to the club?
Sorry?
How did you find out about the club? Did you see any ads?
Well, I did actually, but I have to say I wasn't really attracted to the club because of that. It was through word of mouth.
So you were recommended by a friend?
Actually, my doctor. I'd been suffering from high blood pressure, and he said the club was very supportive of people with that condition, so I signed up.
Great, thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now, for the second part of the form, I want to ask a bit more about your experience of the club.
Sure.
How often would you say you use the club?
It varies enormously, depending on how busy I am.
Of course. But on average, per month?
I'd say it averages out at twice a week.
OK, so 8 on average.
Yeah, and 4 of those are aqua aerobics classes.
That leads me to the next question. Would you say the swimming pool is the facility you make most use of?
Fair to say that, yep.
Right, thanks. And are there any facilities you don't use?
One area I realise I've never used is the tennis courts. And there's one simple reason for that.
You don't play tennis?
Actually, I'm not bad at it.
Oh.
It's that I'm not happy having to pay extra for that privilege.
Oh, right. I've made a note of that. Thanks. Now, in the last section, are there any suggestions or recommendations you have for improvements to the club?
Only about health and fitness?
Anything at all?
Well, I'd like to see more social events. It isn't just a question of getting together for games or classes, but other things, you know.
Yes, sure.
And another thing that I was thinking, when I had my yoga class in the gym last night, we were all sweltering in the heat, was that I think they should put in, or, you know...
Air conditioning.
That's exactly what I mean. The rooms are really light and well designed, but they do need proper installations.
Sure. Well, I've made a note of that.
Good.
So, is there anything else you'd like to suggest? About quality of service, for example?
Oh, everyone's very nice here. They couldn't be more friendly and helpful. Oh, but I tell you what, it's a shame the restaurant isn't open in the evening on Saturday, and Sunday as well, for that matter.
Oh. So the club should...
open it later on those days.
OK. Well, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Hello, welcome to the university. Let me introduce myself. My name's Helen Brown. I'm the International Office Administrator, and I'm responsible for looking after students here on scholarships, in particular Chevening scholars. Perhaps you could introduce yourselves to me.
Hi, I'm Ansgar from Grasse in southern Austria.
And my name is Magali. I'm from a town near Montpellier, France.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
So, let's get started. I'm going to tell you about the schedule for today. Today is your orientation day at the university, and it's going to begin in half an hour at 10 o'clock with a speech from the Vice-Chancellor welcoming you to the university.
That's very nice. Where is it?
It's in the main hall on floor 3.
Okay, but how do we get there?
From here, the International Office, go down the corridor, past the lecture theatre and student common room. Then you'll be at the main entrance and you'll see the lift to your left. Take the lift to floor 3 and the main hall entrance is after the buffet.
Okay, floor 3 after the buffet. I can always find my way to food. So we'll be able to find the main hall, no problem.
So after the Vice-Chancellor greets the new students, then 30 minutes later, the Mayor will welcome you to the city. Together it should be about an hour, so it's not too much of a drag.
And what happens then?
After that, you'll have a meeting with a representative of the British Council, and she will brief you on life in Britain and what your sponsor expects, and of course doesn't expect from you.
It will be nice to meet them. Is that in the main hall too?
No, but it is on floor 3 again. With your back to the main hall, go down the corridor past the labs.
Sorry?
The laboratories, on your right, and the computer cluster rooms on your left, and at the end of the corridor are seminar rooms 1 and 2. Your meeting is in seminar room 2.
Did you mention what time that is?
No, I didn't. It's at 11:15 and it should last about half an hour. You'll meet her a number of times during your studies, so it's important to go to that meeting.
Okay, I'll make sure Magali is on time.
Ansgar, I'm always on time.
Very well. Now for the final part of the morning and lunch, you'll be with your department.
We're both doing biomedicine.
Oh, that's interesting.
But we're not sure how to get to our department.
Well, you don't need to go very far from Seminar Room 2. The laboratories and seminar rooms all belong to your department. So basically, you need to turn left out of Seminar Room 2 and go past the next 2 teaching rooms. Your departmental office is on the left.
Will someone be there to meet us?
Oh, but of course. At 12 o'clock, the course administrator will meet you at the departmental office and introduce you to members of staff and the head of department, Professor Heanue.
Heanue? How do you spell that?
Heanue. He will tell you about the department and your course, the coursework and academic life in Britain. Have you both got reading lists?
Yes, I have.
I'm afraid I haven't.
You can get one at that meeting. Then finally, as it's your first day, you'll have lunch with the department staff in the refectory from 1 to 2.
Oh, that's really nice.
Great.
There's just one more thing. In the afternoon, you have the chance to meet other international students in the main hall again. And you can ask them about their time at the university. That's from 2:30 onwards.
I'm looking forward to that.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
So you're thinking of opening a bank account with us?
That's right.
And you are an international student at the university?
Yes, I am.
And how did you hear about us?
From Student Services. They gave me a list of banks near the university, and I chose this one because you have a branch near campus and a student advisor at the bank.
Yes, I'm part of the student advice team. There are 3 of us here. Right, now I'll go over the services we offer to international students, and then we can go through a few details before we set up your account.
Okay.
We can offer you a current or cheque account and a savings account.
Do you pay interest on the current account?
We do, but not very much, about 1.5%. You get a much better interest rate on the savings account, around 4%. We also give you a free overdraft facility.
I'm sorry?
If you run out of money, we allow you to spend more money than you have in your account. That's the overdraft. But you can only take out up to £100. If you need more than £100, then you must tell us before you take any more money out.
I see.
Now, once your current account is open, then you can set up direct debits for any regular payments you need to make.
Could you tell me how that works?
Well, for instance, let's take your mobile phone. You have to pay a certain amount every month for it.
Yes.
So you can tell us to pay that amount each month and we'll do it automatically for you.
I see.
As soon as your account is open, we will send you a debit card, which you must sign immediately and keep in a safe place. Then a day or 2 later, we'll send you a personal identification number.
A PIN number?
Yes, and you must keep the number secret. You can change it if you like when you use it for the first time, but if you change it, you must remember the number. If you forget or lose the number, then we have to send you out a new card and a number for security reasons.
Okay.
The next thing you could do is open a savings account. If you know you have to save a certain amount of money to pay your accommodation or course fees, we can open a savings account for you to put aside some money each week or month.
How can I do that?
You can manage your accounts in one of 4 ways. You can come into the bank here on the university campus and tell us what you would like to do, or you can call us on 08457 004 004 and instruct us what to do over the phone. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Alternatively, you can manage your account over the internet.
I see.
You have to go online and register at our website at www.hsbc.co.uk/online-banking before you can use the service. Finally, if you have a digital TV, You can use TV banking by pressing Interactive on your digital TV remote control.
Oh, really? I don't have a digital TV, unfortunately, but I can do the first three things.
Now, do you have any insurance?
What's that?
For example, if you lose something or one of your possessions is stolen, we will cover the cost of it.
How much does that cost?
It's £24 a year, so it really is worth thinking about.
I don't need to think about that. I'll take out insurance.
I'll arrange that for you as soon as your account is open. Now, would you like to go ahead and open an account with us?
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3. Part 3.
You will hear two students talking about a class assignment about wild bird rescue and rehabilitation. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. As you listen to the first part of the conversation, answer questions 21 to 25.
Okay, let's go over the requirements and see what we have left to do.
Let's see. We have to give the professor a written summary of the information we've gathered on our topic, wild bird rescue and rehabilitation.
The other written thing we have to turn in is a case study of the rehabilitation of one bird. We have the information on that already.
Right. All we have to do is write it up. What about charts and graphs? Do we need to include something like that?
I don't think so. They aren't really relevant, but we do have to turn in a list of the resources we used.
Naturally. What about videos? I heard some of the other students were doing that.
Well, I guess that must be optional, because I don't see it on the requirements list. Okay, we should start planning our class presentation, since that counts for half the grade.
We've looked at lots of sources of information, but I think our best source was the interviews we did with the wildlife rehabilitators.
Agreed. That and the journal articles. I think we have enough information from those two sources for the presentation anyhow. The books we looked at weren't all that helpful.
I wonder if we should try to bring in some live birds for the presentation.
That would be too difficult, don't you think? But we have lots of photos of rehabilitated birds. We can show those.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Right. Okay, I think we should start by talking about how to rescue a bird. Probably first we should help people understand which birds need rescuing.
Yeah, that's really important. Because a lot of times people see a baby bird that's all alone, or they find a bird sitting on the ground and they think it needs to be rescued.
And usually those are just baby birds learning to fly. So we should emphasise that people should only attempt to rescue a bird that's clearly injured.
For certain kinds of birds, the rescuer needs to wear protective gloves because some of those birds have sharp claws and can tear your shirt, or worse, injure your face or some other part of your body.
Yes, that's an important point. OK, next, let's tell people to put the injured bird in a box with good air circulation. We should let them know that a cage isn't necessary, and a bag, especially a plastic one, could hurt the bird more.
Another thing we need to say is that the best way to help the bird stay calm is not by petting it or talking to it, but by leaving it completely alone. Then people should take the bird to the bird rescue center as soon as possible.
Right, and we should also point out that when they're driving the bird to the rescue center, it's better not to play music on the radio or talk loudly, because those things just stress the bird.
Yes. It's better just to speak quietly while you have the bird in the car. Okay, we've got that part covered. Next, we should talk about what happens at the rescue center.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4. Listen to the introduction about Tower Bridge and complete the summary.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Tower Bridge is located in one of the most interesting parts of London. On either top of the tower, you can get a bird's-eye view of the wonderful scenery all round Tower Bridge. On its south side are many tall old buildings. On its north side stands the Tower of London itself. But Tower Bridge, the first bridge over the Thames, as you travel to London from the sea, is the most famous of them all. Although they look the same age, the tower is almost 1,000 years old, and Tower Bridge, which was built in the 1890s, is just over 100. Because of the tall ships up and down the Thames, it was proposed in 1850 that a bridge across the Thames near the tower was most necessary. However, the designers argued about the new bridge for about 30 years. They took so long because they had two big problems. One is that the new bridge must look like the old tower, and the other is that the bridge must not look like a modern bridge. They made it look like the old tower, so everyone was happy. Besides, the most surprising thing about Tower Bridge is that it opens in the middle, while big ships are going through to the Pool of London. If you're lucky enough to see the bridge with its two opening arms high in the air, you'll never forget it. The bridge took 8 years to build and cost £900,000, a lot of money in those days. But it was a wonderful success and became a famous tourist attraction in London on the day when the bridge was completed. 100 years ago, the Thames was once London's busiest traffic route, so that the bridge opened at least 12 times a day. Today, Big ships don't go so far up the Thames. Tower Bridge opens perhaps only twice a week, but the same wonderful machinery is still in good condition. Green, yellow and red, the colourful wheels and engines look smart and new, not 100 years old. They still lift the two heavy opening arms, each 1,000 tons, leaving 70 metres for the ships to go through. And they still can open and close the bridge in 1.5 minutes. Things are changing greatly now at Tower Bridge. The horses that used to help with pulling have gone, and so have the tugs, for they're no longer necessary. The walkways from one tower to the other at the top of the bridge were closed years ago because so many people jumped off them into the Thames, which is said to open again soon. In addition, the beautiful wheels will be part of a special exhibition for the public to visit. There'll be a restaurant in one of the towers and a pub in the other. But whatever happens in its exciting future, Tower Bridge will always mean London.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.